Hello everyone and welcome to the third week of the Big East Invitational. Today we have the Big East competing against each other to earn their seedings in the EGF Big East Invitational LAN event in New York City on the 7th and 8th of December. These games will be played in a best-of-5 format with 4 matches taking place every Sunday at 12 EST. So if you don't want to miss out on any of the action, make sure to follow us on Twitch and Twitter at official EGF for updates and announcements. And today Ooh,
sorry, go
my
ahead.
Fault. I was going to introduce you, Greek. I was going to say today I'm joined by Meet and Greek.
Yo, what's up, everyone? It's my first week here. I've missed the first 2 weeks, but it's going to be a great time. We're going to have some awesome collegiate Rocket League matches. And for you all folks watching, we have 4 great ones coming up. We have first Butler University going up against St. John's University. That's going to be a fantastic matchup. And I also have a little bit of some player insight from one of the Butler players. And we can talk about that in a bit. But after that, we have Xavier University going up against Georgetown. Game 3 will be Seton Hall University and Providence College. And then finally, we'll be closing the show off with Villanova University and Marquette University. It's going to be a great day of collegiate Rocket League action. Now, Navik, I'm just looking at our lineup for today, and I think all these matches are going to be really close. I hope we get Game 5, or hope we get to Game 5 in every single one of them, because that would just mean way more Rocket League action. And you know what? Things are going to start getting close, because I think you were telling me that seeding here from these invitational matches in these first 4 weeks matters when we go towards the LAN event in New York City, because that's how the groups are going to be paired off for the LAN event. So your performance in these first 4 weeks, very crucial, very important for these players. I want to see them bring it all that they can. And, you know, actually, I think our players are getting a little too excited. They're starting to join the matchup. But
oh yeah, that was a little bit early. But before we get on to the match, if we take a look at the standings at the moment, you are right, as the seeding does matter. We, of course, have Marquette and Butler. Butler being in the first seat at the moment. And working our way down after that, you have Butler in first seat with Marquette, completely tied. Then St. John's and DePaul tied for second place at the moment. Followed by Seton Hall, and then in 6th we have Providence, 7th Villanova, 8th Georgetown, and 9th currently Xavier. So again, this could all flip, because we have 2 more. We have this week and next week, right? So
yeah, exactly.
They could still all flip up until, I think, until we see the results at the end of this week, we won't get an idea of where everything will possibly balance out.
I can see what you mean, and we saw this a little bit, not in terms of the rival series, maybe a little bit in RLCS, but definitely in the collegiate, in the official CRL tournament this season, in the East and West conferences. Things got started really hot for some teams, like RIT, for example, but then towards the end of the season, things kind of flipped around on their end. Unfortunately, they weren't able to make it into the playoffs. So a lot can happen here. But I believe all these teams will still be going to the LAN event, if I'm not mistaken.
That is 100% correct.
The seeding determines their placement in the LAN event and their groups. And from there on, it can make their lives easier or just extraordinarily difficult.
Yeah, and once we get into that LAN event, that'll be interesting to see which school the Big East manages to come out on top. I mean, I'm excited to see it. I know you've been kind of somewhat keeping up over the weeks, Greek. I know you've been very, very busy. But yeah, being able to see what happens there and who comes out on top will be really, really fun to see.
Yeah, and we're just, folks, our apologies. We're just waiting to get all of our players into the matchup. Had a little bit of a lobby trouble here and there, but things happen. That's totally fine. They're just itching to get in this matchup. Now, Navik, I'm just counting all of our players here. I think we're about ready to go.
We are.
And I think our players are ready to go. Let's get into this, folks. It's a best of 5. And you know what? Take it away.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, it's a best-of-5 series, and this game 1 is going to be Butler University against St. John's. Butler being in the blue and St. John's being in the orange. At the moment, Butler are our #1 seeding. So this is definitely an uphill battle if we are to see how the scores went. Butler currently undefeated. St. John's 1-for-1, but already Primal managing to find the first goal there. St. John's taking a lead already, Greek.
Yeah, and here just a little bit of a defensive error. Webbs and Zombieberg, they were on the backboard. Both of them couldn't make contact with the ball, and it was just so easy for Primal to hit that one in. That was just given to him on the silver platter. And St. John's University, they're going to take their early lead.
Yeah, and now kickoff once again, the 50-50. St. John's trying to take ball control here, but we do see Xavier, or Butler even, I do apologize there, Butler managing to take some ball control here. A nice little chip. The double commit there for the ball does manage to save it as we see Primal taking control. Oh, and actually running under the ball accidentally there, right? Trying to gain some momentum back up, does get pinched up into the air there. Just in time, going for a nice aerial drop there, trying to clear it, but a nice clear coming out from Butler. Webb's trying to follow it up and trying to make a shot onto the goal, but he doesn't quite find it, Greek.
He doesn't, but again, just early on in this game, a lot of, I guess, release for both these teams to go through, but watch out for Webbs. He might have an opportunity off the ceiling, but can't make the contact necessary to put that one on target. Under 4 minutes to go here, still ample opportunity left for Butler to tie this one up.
Yeah, just in time looks to try and deceive the enemy team. They're managing to try and steal the ball away from them, but we did see Butler clearing it away. A lot of back and forth at the moment as Arkham gets a nice clear. Webbs is going to be able to save it there, though, positioning really, really well as he does get bumped away. The ball control back in the hands of St. John's. Back to Butler. I mean, and this is what we've seen over the last couple weeks, Greek. It's been back and forth in ball control. There's never been a game where one team has completely just dominated.
Well, that's because both these teams are just playing very conservatively. That's from what I'm seeing right now. A speculative shot from Zombie Burger, and that's the kind of thing you want to see from downtown because we're not seeing a whole lot of offense coming out from Butler at the moment. So they're going to try to take those chip shots from way down and try to at least get something on net, force the defense to make a mistake. Here comes Steven, the shot on net, he scores!
Yeah, and like you just said there, Greek, force the defense to make a mistake. You saw Zombie there run it down with all of that boost, carrying the momentum, just in time committed, thinking he was going to try and get the double tap, and Steven came up from below and managed to just completely outwit the opponent.
Yeah, and just mind games on the defense right now. The offense doing very well for Butler. They tie the game up. There's still plenty of time left, more than half the game here in game one remaining. We'll have to see now is St. John's University if they're going to have a rebuttal for that one.
Yeah, I think a retort is needed here. Now bringing it out 1-1. We're halfway into the match, so everything is still up in the air as we see Primal trying to run it down that center field. Just in time coming out very, very quickly there. Still got 50% of his boost as well. A nice touch from Arkham going for the double tap coming out just in there, but he didn't quite make it in time and actually cleared the ball away from the opposition's goal.
It just Webbs. Take a look at this. The bullet. Well, watch this. I really love the positioning here from the offense, but man, the defense, every single player was there. You had everyone in net, but they just played the ball wrong. They let that ball bounce off the backboard into the hand of Webbs to just throw it on net. That's where you have to take a step back now. If you're St. John's University, you cannot make mistakes like that on defense. You have to be on top of that ball early to prevent opportunities like that.
Yeah, and like you're saying, you need to not allow your opposition to find those opportunities, because as soon as they start taking the lead and running away with the game, every second ends up counting more and more. And Steven's going to get a shot onto goal there, finds it, it connects, and that's going to bring him up a net total of 2. And I mean, feel free to interject here, but I feel like that was just really well set up.
That was an amazing pass from Webb. Steven was already in position in the middle of the field to just take that one and send it. But the defense, again, I wouldn't really blame the defense on that play too much, because that was a very well executed 1-2 pass play. The ball was going to the net at extreme speed, and our camp coming through now to bring them within 1. I think St. John's is still in this.
Yeah, you just said about the 1-2 setup, and then you see St. John's coming out of nowhere with their own 1-2 setup between our camp, and I believe that was just in time. And I mean, now coming up into the kickoff here, this 50-50 is actually kind of important, because depending on who wins it and starts to gain ball control, which it seems to be St. John's, and then as soon as I say that, Greek Castico kicks in, and we do see Butler stealing away ball possession. Now it's starting to set it... Oh, sorry, go on.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm just saying you can't put all your eggs in one basket here if you're St. John's. You can't rely on the kickoff to allow you to take control of this game. You have to build up your offense, and they have glimmers of that in this game, but these one-off pass plays here or there are not going to beat this Butler squad. You need to have everyone on your side of the field gelling, passing, and just overall being in good position to get by this defense.
Yeah, 100% on that situation. As the ball kind of lines up for a moment there, I was just about to say, we see Zombie Burger just sitting there waiting as St. John's set themselves up.
Oh man, this was just very unfortunate there. You had our camp, who was in position on the corner of the field, just couldn't make contact, and then things just de-escalated from there for St. John's, or I guess escalated in favor of Butler. And now they're in a little bit of a hole here, 2-goal deficit, under a minute left. I'm not saying it's impossible, but the way that Butler's been playing, it's going to be a very difficult challenge.
Oh, and a shot coming out there from Webbs. Almost looked like it was going to find its mark as well. Zombie Burger going for it again. The double tap, and it does connect. That's going to be goal number 5 with 37 seconds left on the clock, Greek.
And something I talk about at work with my coworkers is a burger, a sandwich. Well, Zombie Burger sandwiches that one into the net, really forcing the issue. Takes a 3-goal lead here now for Butler in game 1. And if the rest of the series is an indication, or as this game's an indication of the rest of the series, we're going to see a dominant Butler team.
Yeah, but we also are unaware if the teams have warmed up at the moment, and we saw it the week before, and the week before that. The first game never really seems to actually show what's going to happen for the rest of the series.
We'll have to wait and see if time will tell, but right now Butler University just on extreme offense there. Webbs actually had a fantastic bump on the defense. I believe Steven was in the air to try to receive that pass. If he was able to make contact, that would have been another free net. We'd be looking at a 6-2 scoreline right now, but this ball is still not dead yet. 0 seconds on the clock, but really we're just going for a consolation goal at that point for St. John's University, but Butler is going to take game 1 5-2.
Yeah, and I mean 5-2, that's, you know, we say it time and time again, but that's pretty much exactly where you would like to be, especially coming over that first game, right? Getting a big lead, getting that momentum, getting in that mental mind state. Okay, you've just done really, really well. You had a net total of 3 up. Let's keep that momentum carrying into the next game.
Yeah, and actually, so I reached out to Stephen G13 before this series began, and I asked him if there was anything he can I can share on stream, and he told me that Zombie Burger and himself were part of the team that won the Big East tourney last fall. So this is a very solid team, and they added Webbs, and he even went on further to tell me that Webbs is the best player on that team. So if you already have 2 of the players that won the Big East tournament last year, and you add an even better player to the lineup, you can see the results are clear here. A very strong and talented team. So I'm very excited to see what's in store for Butler going into the future here. And right now, if you're St. John's, I'm gassing up Butler like crazy right now. If you're St. John's, you're thinking, Greek, what are you doing? You got to hype us up too. And you know what? They had some great moments as well. They had 2 goals, and both were a result of great pass plays. If they can get those setups more and more and more, especially later on this series, I think it's going to be a very competitive matchup.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And as we get into the second game and this kickoff for this second game now, we do have Butler up on in this best of 5 series. And oh my goodness, it almost looked like Steven going for a bit of a guillotine drop there, followed up by Zombie Burger. It looked like they tried to do the old 1-2 once again with that double commit. Didn't quite work out for them, but if it would have, that would have been a very nice looking play.
And that's the first time I've ever heard that reference as a guillotine drop before. I love it. Actually, it cuts straight to the point. But right now, if you're St. John's University, you got to be a little bit panicky here because you're already on the defensive half of the field. You're kind of not struggling against Butler right now, but you're giving them a lot of opportunities. You got to clear this ball away, give yourselves room to breathe, and start building up that offensive pressure.
Yeah, and a zombie burger there. Oh, the demolition coming out, followed by the attempted shot by Steven, setting it up for Webbs. Webbs tries to follow it up, but just doesn't have the momentum he needed to get in position. At the moment, Steven rotating back to clear that ball away from their goal. Once again, setting it back up, back to Steven. And it does get saved away by just in time. I mean, I said it last week, but he really was just in time.
Yeah, and unfortunately for that, you can't really be cutting it close like that every single time. You're giving Butler so many opportunities. But now we're seeing glimmers of hope here on the offense as Webbs is going to try to carry this one out of his own half. But you have all three of the St. John University players on the same part of the pitch. That's not exactly the best positioning there. Could have had a really great opportunity for Butler to capitalize, but they're very lucky to get away with no goals scored.
Yeah, I mean, you never want to have those triple commits on the same part of the field. If the opposition recognizes that and tries to play around it, then you will get scored upon. And just as I say that, a lovely setup by Stephen G, followed up by Webbs to secure that goal.
And this is very interesting to see Arcamp all alone in the defensive back, because Primal and Just in Time were there as well, but they just both rotated completely out of the play, leaving them all alone. It's very tough to play defense, especially if it's a 1v2 situation. It's almost impossible at this skill level to come away unscathed, and unfortunately for St. John's University, they allowed a goal in.
Yeah, and now with Butler being one goal up, they're definitely feeling like they're in that position of power once again, passing it to Webb. Steven, oh, just in time. I believe just chipped that ball away from him.
Oh, goodness, yeah. Oh, this could go in. The demolition coming out. Primal on Zombie Burger opens things up, and that's the kind of play you want to see. And, wow, I'm loving the offensive aggression here coming out from St. John's University. It's exactly what they need here to gain back that momentum.
Yeah, no, that aggressive play was really, really well thought out by Primal there, living up to his name as he did take out the opposition's goalkeeper. Now Webbs is going to recenter the ball to Steven, but Arcamp manages to intercept it there and it gets a shot onto the goal. Does hit the sidebar, unfortunately, for St. John's. Webbs now getting a single tap, trying to set up the boost there. Gets a good clear by Zombie Burger, running it forward here. Doesn't have the boost to follow it up though, but hoping that the opposition tries to make a mistake there that he could capitalize on. And once again, a bit of a nice interception coming out from Zombie Burger there, followed up by Just in Time. The ball control does fall back into the side of St. John's, and then immediately back to Butler as Primal just manages to save that goal.
Yeah, I was scared for Primal there. I thought that one was going in. We just caught that on the fender. Keep that one away. And now Just in Time, a little bit of a carry, but Zombie Burger is going to take control here. He's going to go up with that painted white Fennec to Stephen G. Maybe Webbs is going to go up. No, he's going to lay back just a little bit, Navik, and let the play aggress naturally.
Yeah, I mean, at the moment, they're playing it very, very patiently. They're 1-for-1. There's a minute left onto the clock, right? Like a minute and a half. They could try and play super aggressively and just try and end this game, or they could just play really slowly.
Oh, wow!
And maybe now if you're Butler, you think maybe we should try and be a little more aggressive, because that was very, very close to letting St. John's take the lead here. And on the side of St. John's, I mean, they've got to be feeling a little let down that did not work out as Webbs gets... Oh my goodness.
That's rough. That's so rough. Here's what happened here. Primal, I love the idea, but goodness, you just bounced that ball into the middle of your box. It's the absolute worst position to throw that ball in, because Webb was right on top of that one. Easy shot in net. And goodness, the defensive mistake, that could be a fatal error here in game 2, and it could give Butler the match advantage if the scoreline stays.
Yeah, if Butler win this one straight out, we would be going on to game 3, and they would be on match point. Last week, we did see a reverse sweep, and I'd love to see it again. But,
wow.
But you never want to be in that position.
Oh, you never want to be. That's so much pressure. But, you know, sometimes teams thrive on that. They love being the underdog. in some situations, and it really just brings out the best in them, because then they realize, hey, we can't make any more mistakes. Let's go out and win 3 in a row. We can do this. And right now, Zombie Burger saying, nope. I'm going to take this one all the way downtown. Maybe a little bit of help with my teammates, but I'm just going to take complete control here. Just flip that one right over just in time. And goodness gracious, Butler University taking control here.
Yeah, Butler University really starting to show off the prowess that each individual player has as well. You were saying earlier that Steven said that he thinks Webbs is the best player on the team, but no single part is, you need to have a unison for the machine. Yeah, for the machine to work as well as it is at the moment. And Butler University is a well-oiled machine. As we get the last 10-second countdown at the moment, we're going to see St. John's trying to close the goal differential. But with 1 second left on the clock, as soon as the ball touches the ground, that's going to be game 2 going to Butler University, ladies and gentlemen.
And not the same scoreline, still a 2-goal lead though for Butler compared to the 3-goal lead in game 1. So the gap is closing a tiny bit if you're St. John's University. Actually, for the first half of this game, I was giving St. John University the advantage. I thought they were bringing it back and the momentum was there, but just key defensive errors here plaguing them here. And I believe, if I'm correct, St. John University, they're currently 3rd in the rankings. Yep, that is correct. And this is a very big game for them, because if they drop this, then all of a sudden, they're going to go all the way down to potentially 6th place, and that's not a really good drop to have, especially here in week 3 of 4. But there's still ample opportunity for this team to make a comeback here in this series. They have to get the reverse sweep, of course, but it's a tall order, but we've seen it happen before.
Yeah, it 100% is a tall order, but like you said, we have seen it happen before. We saw it literally last week. And I think seeing these reverse sweeps, even if it isn't a complete successful sweep, but it brings it to game 5, it really puts the pressure on the team, not only the team that's backed into the corner, but the team that lost all of its momentum.
Yeah, and actually very interesting to see Zombie Burger bring out the Merc here. We're going to see how that works out for him. Is that a painted white Merc?
I believe so. Zombie Burger was playing with the Merc last week as well, and we saw him do some very funky things with it, to be honest. You don't see the Merc very often, but when you do, you've usually got some sort of plan for it.
I don't know if there's a plan per se, but maybe they're just have extreme confidence going here. I don't think Butler thinks they're going to drop this game. As Webbs playing with his own food in front of the net, wasn't able to get a shot off though. Maybe just a little too flashy there for the play, realizing that Butler still has to score a goal here if they want to take this game in the series.
Yeah, and Steven was trying to set it up for Zombie Burger to follow it up there, but it was intercepted as Webbs now centers it up for his team. You saw Steven try and make the shot there, but he did get dunked on by Arcamp, as they're now clearing it and completely come in with a very fast retort, but it was saved very, very nicely by Webbs there, managing to get that scare out of them. I mean, it would have been nice to see St. John's taking that first goal.
Yeah, it would have been nice, but unfortunately for them, they still haven't gotten there yet. They have some offensive opportunities here, but again, just a little too slow. You saw Arcamp trying to get a touch on that ball, was just completely set to the wayside there by the defense as the clear came by. You have to be just a little bit faster against this Butler defense if you're going to have any attempt on net.
Yeah, now Butler, or St. John's, Butler now in the corner with St. John's putting the pressure on. And a bump coming out from Zombie, managing to steal the ball away from Arcamp there. All of the momentum lost, passing it to Webbs. Webbs gets it past Arcamp. Wow. Now all it's down to is Primal, and Primal manages to save it after we saw Butler get it past 2 of the defensive players from St. John's. Arcamp now, the fadeaway.
Okay,
Arcamp coming out there baiting the opposition as he isn't able to find it. There was a secondary read there on the 50-50 who did manage to call the attempt.
And something I'm seeing from Butler in this game, at least, is they're playing a lot on the backboard. I really do like that. I think it favors them really well in this series, especially because we're seeing the backboard defense with St. John's just a little lackluster here. So they're trying to play for that mistake. They may not have an opportunity every single time, but they're playing the numbers game. Eventually, one's going to go in, and that's going to be the key to this game for Butler.
Yeah. And now Webb's setting it up, centering it again. Like you're saying, we keep seeing them attempting to go for those backboard plays. Steven now has it on top, chips it over himself, recenters it on the backboard. Does get knocked away by Primal though, but Webb's immediately centering it back up. The double commit from our camp and just in time there did pay out for them, but did leave their goal completely defenseless if they made a mistake.
Yeah, and that's just the kind of defense you don't really want to play. You don't want to have that rotation where if your last man misses it, you don't have anyone back to rotate in. That's just not going to cut it against Butler. And now Webbs, you got to watch out. He has very dangerous skill in the air. You can't let him take him up the sidewall like that.
Yeah, but as we're saying, I mean, you know, we've been giving a lot of praise to Butler, but St. John's are also giving in a really, really good attempt at the moment. And other than their backboard defense, they are committing fairly well.
No, absolutely agree as well. There's a reason why this game is still tied, is that St. John's University, I could egg on their defense all I want. They still haven't let a goal in. They're working out pretty well here, but you just got to be careful because Butler's just waiting to strike.
Yeah, you see the Butler players set up on either side, one center, and just like that, Webbs is just going to find that goal. I mean, it really does just seem to mimic, and I'm playing off Webbs' name a little bit here, but it does feel a bit like a Webb, as each one's in a corner just waiting for the mistake, the wrong string to be pulled so they can strike.
Well, the wrong string to be pulled is absolutely the right analogy to play here, because we had every single St. John's University player in net, but all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, no one's in net, and you have to ask yourself, what happened to the rotation? Where did the defense go? You're giving a free shot to Butler, and they're going to take that every single time. They're going to say, oh, thank you very much. We're going to take the lead here with less than a minute to go. We're going to keep on trying to get another one as Steven G finishing it off here. 2-0 scoreline, under a minute left. And, you know, Navik, I hate calling things early, but the way Butler has been playing, it's going to be extraordinarily difficult for St. John's University to tie this one up.
No, I do agree with you. And I mean, you know, I know you said you hadn't heard it before, but I mean, I feel like a guillotine drop is a good analogy for that, because if that lands right in front of your goal, all it takes is a little tap to get the head rolling.
Wow. Uh-oh. Folks, I've been casting Rocket League for a while. I haven't heard something like that. No comment. Anyway,
there you go.
30 seconds left. Things are not looking too great for St. John's University. Maybe they can get something going on here, but again, just Butler is so suffocating, keeping this ball away from the net. And every time they get it clear, they're just wasting more and more time downtown.
Yeah, and now with 10 seconds left onto the clock, that's an average of 5 seconds a goal. It's not looking likely. I know you said you don't like calling it early, but I with confidence can say that we are probably going to see a Butler taking this 3-0.
And right here, first matchup of the day, set in stone. It's a 3-0 sweep for Butler University. They're going to retain their #1 spot on the rankings. They're currently get the 3-0 for the day, and they're currently sitting now at 3-0. So that was an interesting series here, Navik. I actually really enjoyed to watch this game because, you know, there was a lot of good things that happened, a little bit of bad, and then a lot of domination coming from Butler. They were doing things exactly the way they were supposed to do.
Yeah, no, 100%. And of course, like you said, that was the first set. We have 3 more series to go, so we will be hopping to a quick break as we get prepared for Xavier to play against Georgetown's Hoya Esports program. We'll be back with you momentarily.